All right. We call the meeting of the Wausau Town Council to order. Ask everyone to stand with us for the invocation followed by the pledge of allegiance. Lift the flags at the end of the building. Our invocation tonight is given by Reverend James Guy, who is the founder and the executive pastor of the Shepherd's Gate Church. Brother Guy.
Roger Dillon, if you don't mind, I want to say a little bit of what I felt the Lord tell me. And as I was thinking of this, and Wausau now is going through the greatest change it has ever experienced, even from the day when the announcement was made that the railroad was coming through. And that Wausau that Paul Smith knew and Lee Woods knew, Bernice Hagan knew, is about to dissipate. But the one that our children will know is about to be formed. Because Paul Smith and all them can come back and they'll never recognize this place in 5 years. But the guy who just moved here 3 or 4 years ago, this is going to be his home. And so I believe that the city council meetings now are more important for the future than they've ever been before. And I want to congratulate each one of you on this, that God chose you to be in this position in this time. Father, I thank you today, God, first of all, for being allowed to be born within 500 feet of this building 72 years ago. I thank you, God, for every one of these people that are gathered here tonight. Because the intent of their heart, God, is to give their all to this city and the workings of this city. God, I thank you for their selfless dedication that they're contributing to this area of our existence. God, I ask that you to go with them as they make all of these decisions. These decisions will never change the past, but they'll set a foundation for the future. God, I ask that you to touch every person here in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Salute, pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brother Guy. Feel free to stay with us. Sometimes our ministers need to leave because of schedules, but feel free to stay or leave at your convenience.
Yeah, I do have an appointment if you wish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to our town council meeting tonight, and I'm going to ask that if you have a whole meeting, if you would please put your cell phones on mute or turn them off. And I'm going to ask the council if we would be sure to be speaking to our microphones tonight for the benefit of the audience. In just a minute, we'll recognize, well, before we start, let's go ahead and do that. We try to, and I know that the sheriff's commitment was that he would be at his meeting. We'll have representatives at our meetings, and even though he is not here tonight after this official, we have Braxton Green. Thank you, Mr. Braxton. I'd like to greet the people or say anything to the council tonight.
Just that the sheriff made a commitment to be in every city council meeting that he could, and we actually flip-flopped tonight. I was in Ebro last time, and he's going to make this first appearance down there, and we're just kind of switched. And so he's committed to helping whatever we do for you guys to help you out. Just let us know. Everybody has issues and problems, and so when you have those, give us a call.
Thank you, and personally, I don't know if the council can speak, but personally, I think that his presence has been very good for our meetings and things in the last. Green's good to have you with us tonight as well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, first item on our meeting tonight is the consent agenda. Second item actually is the consent agenda. Payment of bills, fire department minutes and training records, our minutes from the last meeting, and our reconciled bank statements and trial balance. Is there any item on the consent agenda that any member would like to have pulled from the agenda before we, maybe if you read your minutes and the fire department minutes and settlers meeting discussion, anything that we need to pull? Okay, the chair would accept the motion for to approve the consent agenda, to adopt the consent agenda.
Motion
Have a motion by Mr. Colbert, is there a second? Second by Mr. Carter, is there any discussion on the motion? How do you vote, Mr. Colbert? Yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. And the agenda audience. Okay. Debbie Walton Shane.
Yes.
Shane, if you would, come and greet the council.
I live right in the middle of Wausau, none of you know where I'm at, about Peggy and Randy Carter's house. Right behind the post office, two behind the post office. And I have a major cat problem. I have cats in my yard that come home to 4 and 5 on the picnic table. If I don't feed them, they go take my dog's food, which is an outside dog, which is registered with Margaret, and registered with the city. So it's not fair to him either. He's 10 times bigger than them, of course, but he still steps away from her. This one here, we've been dealing for a year with. She was born last March under my house. Her siblings and her mother tore up my underpinning, which I'm still trying to fix. Didn't think a cat could destroy underpinning, but they can. This one is now very pregnant. So it's a baby having a baby. So we've got problems here that we've got to clear up, or we're going to have cats running all over the place. Does anybody else have cats in their yards all the time like I do, or am I the only one? They're not yours, right? The yard smells like a litter box on hot days. You have to watch where you step in my yard, which my dog is in his own little fenced-in area in my yard. So when I lay out with me, which my whole yard is fenced in, he's still no menace to the public. If he makes a hole, I can fill it up and I know where I'm stepping. I know where these guys are going. This morning, I headed into work. Evidently, there was a male in my yard last night. So I went to work with my heater on, as cool as it was, but with my window down. He had eaten somewhere around my car and it sucked it right into my vents. And I had that smell all the way to work. So yeah, I had the window down and the heat on, which my car was probably wondering what's going on. I stopped at Tractor Supply tonight. They have pages on sale. What do we call them, our maintenance guy here in town? Saw him at the library a month ago, when Margaret was out sick. Got off early, was able to stop by. He said we only have one cage. Well, I have enough cats there for him to put a cage there every day for at least a couple weeks. He did catch one about a year ago. And he told me he had to give it back to its owner, that it wasn't a stray. Which is the lady I'm assuming that was behind me. She takes cats in. Well, if she takes cats in, I want her to keep them in her yard. I'm an animal lover, I'm not gonna hurt an animal. So, yes, I feed them. Maybe that was my first mistake. But when I don't feed them, they go take it from my dog anyway, so. This is the only one that I have been able to touch, pick up, love on, let her know the world isn't a horrible place. But she's content now. She didn't like going in, that's why the hair is all over me. And I would say she's due any time now, because she's very pregnant. She was the runt of the litter. She may not make it through childbirth. The last litter we had under my porch had some malformed babies, and we had to put a couple of them down. I have drove out my carport, run over baby cats, sit there and bawl for 3, 4, 5 minutes, heading to work. He was streaming down my face because I killed a cat after I buried it. We could dig up bones. I've probably got 6 or 7 carcasses in my yard.
I think we've got a picture.
With this here, I would like to start a fund to buy us some more traps. I'm going to put $5 in the fund tonight. Anybody else would like to donate to the fund? They're on sale right now for $29.99.
You have to catch them in a cage, and we provide them to Washington County. After that, the county takes over, but it's,
We have to do the kitchen.
unless it's a vicious dog, and then Washington County comes in and assists.
And Washington County won't take them from private citizens.
No, they won't.
I took these 4 down, and he sent them back home with me.
Yeah, we have to take them, and I don't take them in the morning too. Well,
If you need me to take her back home tonight and let her sleep at the house again, she comes
Monday,
for a meal every
The
day.
county is off tomorrow for Good Friday.
Right.
So,
Tomorrow's a holiday, it will be Mondays.
I would have no problem with that. Like I said, I don't want to see her hurt.
I will get her
If
Monday.
anybody here wants a beautiful kitten to take home, you're welcome to it too. But I will keep her in my house until the holiday, so
I'll make sure.
that would be no problem.
Thank you. It is, look for a response from us, while you stand, or if you're finished, we will respond to.
Yeah, the response is please get the cage out there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll start, we just got one cage.
I am, yes, we should have more than one case, because we bought several, and because the fire department uses them usually each year for kids' costumes, you know. But I thought we had 2 to 3 cases, but if we don't, we will get 2 to 3 cases for $30.
Well, we need to have what we need in this city's business, but we need to take care of them too. They need to, he uses them and takes Mr. Roney and goes back and needs to clean the cage and we do it. Things like that. That's my opinion, that's my opinion. And probably, I'm going to guess, cats are a bigger problem right now than dogs. I know when our ordinance last addressed, it was because of the dog problem we was having. The cats seem to bring more litters more often, and right now lots of the dogs are tagged, and I think they're being kept either behind the gate or on a leash. Cats are cats.
In the house, and fencing and stuff,
So does anyone on the council want to address Ms. Shank's question, or do we agree that we need to get cages and as the calls come in, whether it's she or someone else, in the town, we just need to do what we got to do?
we get some locations and take care of them. Some of these cats, I hate to say it, because I know it's easy to happen to them, and take them up to the field. But we don't need to let her have to worry about feeding them and running over them and everything else, because somebody else wants to feed a cat and let it out and have 10 little kittens.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second? Motion by Mr. Carter, second by Mr. Colbert. Any discussion on the motion? Is that all?
Pardon? Those are my cages. But these cages here at Tractor Supply are on sale till July 1st, $10 off. I asked if we could get the house chip discount, and they told me no.
And person on the patrol, will they stand 5, now, is that motion?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Is the idea that the homeowners are to come to town hall and get the cage? Okay, what are you going to do with the cage?
The complainant, the homeowner, is going to contact us and our maintenance person that we can set the cage.
Maintenance person, okay. And then you will take them where?
To Mr. Roney with the county.
And the county animal shelter.
We have a newsletter, and then let's agree with the county. And that,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Because I did work on the animal control ordinance for the county, if you're catching anything, you can't catch it over the weekend because they're not open, they don't have any way of doing it, taking care of things. But you're feeding it according to the county's animal control ordinance. Once you feed it, it's yours.
But if it's stealing my dog's food, if I don't feed it, what am I gonna do?
You leave animal food out. It's a vicious
I can't do
cycle.
that. If I was that kind of person, I could do target practice in my backyard, yes, but I can't do that.
Cats, like I said, there is an ordinance on cats. Cats are supposed to stay confined on their property, but tell that to the cat.
Well, the dog problem we had a year ago or so, when you set the flyers out, has been great. We don't have a dog problem now.
And cats, like I said, they're too hard, they reproduce like rabbits. But there is areas and there are groups that will take these cats. They will have them neutered.
Yeah, we've exhausted a lot of things.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And that's our now.
I think the city has a separate ordinance, and it doesn't make you feed it. It's yours, so we would capture those environmental agreement, we would take it to the county for management. Okay, Mr. Palmer, you've got a question, if 5 was too many.
How many does fire department have, what do we have already?
We don't know how many we've got.
Okay, we got this one back there, I don't know. We bought 2 originally. But then one of them.
How often do you get that? And so as you know, you have lots of dog complaints over the last 2 years, and we really don't. As far as I remember, this is the first cat complaint on the 2 days. It doesn't mean yours, not cognizant of the fact there's a cat problem, but we just, I don't know how we get a call for somebody.
Number of these people has, we don't have a whole lot of cat problems.
The maintenance guy told me he picked up several cats at my house. He would guess 25 to 30 at least before I even moved in there.
Wow.
Our maintenance man hadn't been here a year yet.
So I don't know what he was talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
My main question is, I can show you proof even.
She's my mother.
She is my daughter, and I take care of the cat and dog situation when she's away or when she's at work. Now, these are feral pets. They do not have no owners. They do not have no homes. They are wild, and they will literally jump you. Now, what are you going to do when you have somebody, like it happened in Panama, a cat with rabies? I mean, it's a serious situation.
And we understand that. And if you've got a better way for us to approach it, I'd be interested in hearing.
Set cages every place and start
That's what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about doing.
I mean, it's dangerous, truthfully.
Okay? Back to Mr. Palmer's question, is 5 too many?
I said, we see what we got, if we've only got 1 or 2, we make
Maybe 5 total, with what we already have.
Oh, God.
something
Did that qualify that?
Yeah, like we got 2, just about 3.
Rebecca, do you know if the fire department has any of the cases out at the fire office?
I know they're not at the firehouse.
Okay. All right, we'll up to 5. Can I restate your motion? Sure. Okay, Mr. Carter is making a motion that we take our cage inventory and increase or maintain a 5 cage inventory for cats. Is that, would you say, your second is still in for that motion? Okay, is there any discussion of that motion? How do you wrong? Yes. Mr. Carter? Yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Okay, Gene Walton? And that was, okay, you don't have another, you just signed into it, it's the same issue.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there anyone that hasn't signed in the audience that would like to address the council tonight? We need to sign in and put your name. Okay,
I already signed in, but I do have another question.
okay.
Do we have a noise ordinance in Wausau?
Well, Florida Statutes has one, right, Mr. Grayson, that Washington County Sheriff's Office.
What does it pertain to? Is there a certain hour of the day or? The music was going over top of my mower the other day. That's a tad too loud.
If I tried to answer that, I'd probably just give you the wrong answer. I don't have that statute with me. Do you happen to know, Jerry? It's a county ordinance.
County ordinance?
And there are some specifics, but I don't know, there's not going to get you the right answer. If you'll call me at the sheriff's office Monday, just call the sheriff's office, I'll get you that.
What I can tell you from working on the road is that if we get multiple complaints about the same individual at the same time, then we consider it a nuisance. One individual complaining in a neighborhood generally doesn't constitute a nuisance because noise is subjective. What you consider loud, somebody else may not. However, if you've got 3 people at 10 o'clock at night calling about a neighborhood with loud music, then that constitutes a nuisance, and we'll go out and we'll ask them to turn it down.
But there's some specifics, like it has to go for so long, so many, like 30 minutes or something like that. So if you'll call me, I can give you exactly how it is.
And that's a very interesting question. A week ago, Wausau, the state attorney addressed that same issue, and gave the same answer Mr. Green did. It is a nuisance, it's not an ordinance. We call it a noise ordinance, but the noise becomes a nuisance, and that's, so thank you, Mr. Braxton. Okay, we need to say to you that effective October 1st, 2013, for the statutes 286.0114, mandate that members of the public shall be given reasonable opportunity to be heard on proposition before the board or commission. Everyone shall have 3 minutes to speak on that proposition for the council. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on anything tonight that's on our agenda? Seeing none. Table items, Madam Clerk.
Code enforcement ordinance, I was supposed to meet with Mr. Hamilton next week on this. The initial discussions are that they will enter into an interlocal with us to provide this code enforcement. But I haven't met with him personally yet. He was out of town last week, I was out this week. We're meeting next week, so I should have something by the next meeting on the interlocal with him.
You willing to work with us on this matter? You willing to kind of come and help work with us on this?
Because they have certified code enforcement officers, and they also have a magistrate board that will hear the complaints, and they also have the ability to do fines, which we do not unless we revise our ordinance. Right, Mr. Goodwin?
Yeah, you may want to see what they've got, so if you want to opt into something similar to what the county does, especially if they're going to be policing it, so to speak.
Did you have a question? Well, we don't have any certified code enforcement officers. It's a little expensive to see somebody in school.
And they don't come from Chip and come back and say, this place needs cleaning, that needs cleaning.
No, we have to turn it in.
We have,
Just like you do, I think Carol uses,
now Chipley has its own, but they also have a code enforcement officer. The county just, it would be, we would do this, I would do that, so we would cover and break. And we're only paid for comprehensive planning services from the county. They only do our comprehensive planning. The code enforcement and code over with the county is connected, part of the same sort of operation. This allows them to do it for us. And we're not voting on it tonight. She's bringing us information that we need. Okay. All right.
The iron that the part-time maintenance was tabled, like I say, these issues will stay on here until y'all either take them off or do something with them.
The part-time maintenance, are we looking at hiring, are we looking at seeing someone to come to us with the
and they will, Mr. Mike with the agency said they will send us somebody. And it should be shortly, you know.
releasing just more than one person? I mean,
Yeah,
not that way,
yeah.
half that in the office?
Yes, we've had two at all times, just about the whole time. Bernie worked here, we had Larry working here also.
There may come a couple of times when that person needs to be transitioned. We went through that a few years ago. I think this one was already on the council. Were you, when Larry was here, or came shortly after that? And there may be a time when you transition, but up front, kind of better to spend their minutes and hours if we can get somebody that can do the work.
And we have the regulars, and then whoever it is,
Community service.
Okay, in order to move this from the agenda, do we want to take some action on hiring someone tonight, or do we can pursue us getting someone?
We can get somebody up there, grass and start on the roof. We're not gonna be able to do everything else we got to do to cut grass too.
what's the pressure?
Maybe Ms. Palmer got to be out there on the weed eater.
Well, I do.
How quickly can we get someone assigned?
I can talk to Mike Monday morning, if we don't have something in place by the end we'll bring it back.
Do we want the person to come back before the council, or can we ask Margaret to work with the agency, get him to sign somebody up, get started before we get it in?
I'll work with agencies to get somebody before we need to be.
Go ahead with it, you're saying? See, he is not, I don't think we're ready.
Okay, I'm making a motion, to get that mark, take, set, with money, and, get part-time help in the community.
We have a motion for the clerk to do something next week and get us, do we get to interview to make sure? One of the things that bothers me now and has in the past is sometimes we never want to offend and we never want to, you know, but if we did sometimes just take the first thing that somebody sends us and we wind up wondering how we get rid of it as a kind of a, not a terminology, secretary terminology, how we would.
Our agreement with this program is if they send us somebody, they don't work out for us, we call them, they take us, they send somebody else. If they're not doing as we expect, we've had a couple out there, especially, we had one or two when Mark was here, they just couldn't do the job when they got here, you know, and we asked them to just remove them, and it takes less than a week to get somebody else here.
Are we comfortable with that kind of arrangement that we can replace them? And I guess you and Jim will have to tell us they are working out of their order. We're not going to be out here following around we'll pass a line and see. Okay, we have a motion that the clerk contact Mike on Monday and as quick as we can fill the maintenance position here. Is there a second to the motion? A second from Mr. Palmer. Smith.
What is the name of the agency that you're?
NCBA.
Any other discussion on the motion? How you vote, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yeah.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Colbert? And the chair votes yes. Okay.
We tabled last month of our part-time maintenance sale, Mr. Carter's, or not maintenance, office sale.
Okay.
This time, I'll, all that, and let us go through, as well.
Same process.
Yes, I mean, this week it was beneficial, but this is a rare time, but we can still do that with someone through life, I feel. If you're sitting back and just thinking about money costs and savings, seating,
And also Ms. Palmer is volunteer anytime that I have to go. If there's no one here, she will stay in the office door.
and I will do the same on the field, and the
Okay. So you're asking to take this off the table,
Yes.
item, no further action.
Motion. That's it. Let Mark go.
Have that for the last motion. Okay. Right.
In your packets, Dwayne's hospitality renovations, that's just table because we're still checking with USDA. He had talked with Ms. Gavin about something, and with that USDA, possible some grants and stuff like that, but he is looking into more grants and with Representative Brake's office on.
Well, they're digging, I'm sorry. They're continuing to dig. The sad part of it is what Mr. Tracy informed me and his office as well, because both of them was called, what they find is that it's, all the grants have pretty much been given out for the quarter and for the first of the year. And for, I guess we said for better terms, what we really need to attack is like November, December, had to go in already into the office so they could say, oh, well, here's this person. And it's there on the top and they say, okay, we'll give you this money, kind of thing. If I'm explaining that correctly, everybody's understanding. So he said he would still continue to look and find, see if he could help us in any way.
Doesn't Fred Falk usually show up or so Fred, because he's good hours and never been the cycle for applying for grants?
He does, yes.
Okay, so, for the sake of keeping our list from growing, and because this could be ongoing for months and months, can we take this off of the table thing, and just, if there's anything we're going to do, report back other than having it on the table items, that's up to the council. Okay, let's take that one off.
This online data can also come off. It will be addressed in the budget workshop in June, July.
Okay,
The elected officials training, Mr. Goodman is still willing to do this, but it'll have to be on a Friday afternoon. If y'all still are.
Another alternative would be we could do a, one night of the meeting, we could do a workshop, maybe an hour, hour and a half before the meeting, do some training that time as well, whatever works for the council.
I personally want it to take place, scheduling this. What does anybody come in with this?
I'd like to see it, but I'm just concerned about an hour and a half before the meeting, you're talking for 30 to death. Interfere with anybody not being in.
Mr. Goodman comes at least once a quarter, I think.
Yeah, I come once a quarter.
And we may have to do this 2 times.
Sure, yeah.
We may have to do an hour and a half and then an hour and a half the next time we do it. A Friday afternoon, I could probably make it work, and I don't know what you could make work there. Since we would be meeting, it would keep us from scheduling an extra meeting and making it different, being at the office so much. What y'all will do? What
We're
are
gonna do it Friday.
you going to do on Friday?
We'll do that.
I'm gonna have a head.
In a meeting?
So me and I'm gonna be flexible. If I was gonna break it into 2 sessions, you feel like it's gonna take 3 hours to do it?
Yeah, I'm thinking
I would say,
about 3 hours.
Friday afternoon to take care of the whole thing.
Okay.
Get what you're looking for, stay fresh with everything.
Great.
And it's gonna be scheduled after ball season, right? Miss Carter's granddaughter plays ball here on Thursday nights, every Thursday night somewhere till ball season's over.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about Friday afternoon.
Yeah, Friday afternoon.
Kind of like last time, from 1 to 3.
Yeah, I was thinking 1 to 3, 1 to 3:30, and then if we run a little over, it'll be done by 4. Usually the program I've got takes between 2 and 3 hours, depending on the questions.
I like the Friday afternoon rather than extended city council meeting, start at 3 and come here at 6 and go to 8, we'll have 5 hours.
Okay. We'll just schedule on Friday.
And I think
All right, let's do one Friday afternoon, but everybody please, go after offices, which is the end of May, okay? We can check your calendar, we got a couple of months, and let's make sure we give Mr. Goodman, because he has an office, so he can keep this block out. So everybody can get water, not now, not just give them water over the next coming days, so a couple of Friday days that we can okay? That's good, I think. And this is different from the ethics. This is to add to our function of our ethics. Okay? Okay, so we're leaving on here the fire ordinance, but that appears later on the agenda.
Well, we can do it now, or we can do it. Their revisions are in the package, is what y'all asked for, what they're asking for, and y'all wanted it for y'all to review prior to adoption. And if y'all have any changes, theirs are over in the comments, if y'all review that. And, you know, we need to probably advertise to the first public hearing on this, at the May meeting and possibly adopt it June, you know.
Okay. For the benefit of our new council persons, going back to the last summer and in fall, we had a couple of meetings with our fire department. We just need to look, this is an 04, a good age, ordinance, 7 or 8 years old now. We need to
Whatever you like to
look
say,
at
Mr. White.
it.
Whatever you like to say.
And I don't know if all of you have a copy of the old one, you should have by now, we talked about this the first year. We asked the fire department to bring their comments to us tonight, and they've done that, and we appreciate that, chief, and the fire department. They've done what we asked them to do. I think we need to take it, and maybe, I feel this, but now, you may have comments on your copy of our ordinance. Paul, I think that we almost up to that.
Right after the last
We have to get in the last day. Yeah, we just, even when you run out of bank statements, and you should be there.
These are the comments.
Okay, now their comments, I think you're still in the bank statements.
Keep on going, this one, first page of the last one.
Okay, you got it right there now.
That's it. Okay, now when you look at theirs, over on the right margin, you'll see, the line with wording in it, that's their comments. That's the things that the fire department wants to see us address. This is the way they want us to address it when we do the ordinance. Is that correct, chief? Okay, now then, you may have questions. You may have questions.
We're good then.
We may have questions as the council on other things they didn't address. This is just what they addressed. This is not the entire thing. This is just what they addressed. We may have other things, or we may have some things, and that's what we need to work together. I have some questions, and I would need to get a meeting with the chief, or we can do it right now. And I need to know why certain comments are here, just for understanding. I know what it is, that's what it is. And it's not that I oppose them, I just don't understand. Okay, all right, okay. Anybody got their first comment? Their first comment is part of section A, fire department. Their comment, we currently say that the town shall take into consideration the majority vote of the fire department and recommendation of the fire chief. They are asking that we add the wording and shall give just cause for not approving or accepting the fire department's recommendation. Parentheses, ratification shall not be arbitrarily withheld without cause. Is that not, I don't understand your notations. Are you wanting all of that wording?
But basically what they're saying there is, if, of course, if they make a suggestion for a new chief and the city council disagrees with it, they want a reason why, not just, this is happening.
You're not asking the council to take the nomination and without a choice. You're just asking that if we do not choose that person, you would like to know the reason.
Yes.
We can can do it good without reason, but you're not reason.
Yes.
That's no reason to think. I was thinking someplace in our county, it said that we were not arbitrarily withholding, but it doesn't say that.
No, the assistant chief that does it, I
Oh,
don't.
but it is, okay, so you're not the same one you had to the chief.
Yes.
And we're not going to vote on this tonight. I want you to take them away and look at them, come back, because you may go away and think, well, I want to ask you a question about it. Does anybody else have a question on the first comment from the fire department? Okay, on the second page, I like the first thing that they're asking for, that the mutual aid agreement will be reviewed and submitted to the city council. That's what we're trying to do. We want teamwork, that involves us a little bit more, and I think that's good. Shall be submitted to the city council for approval at a later date. And this, their comment is, they're putting this in here because that's what we requested at our workshop in the following year. How long would it take you to provide that after the $60?
Well,
any mutual aid agreements that you have?
What we'll have to do is we'll have to get back to the county
Okay.
and Rick, and of course, the attorney will be involved, and we'll go from there.
And your mutual aid agreements doesn't just include other county departments, it can include neighboring county departments, et cetera.
Yeah.
What's happening is something like Alford and maybe Bonifay.
It just depends on scenarios. And the truth of it is, we're all covered under a blanket statewide mutual aid agreement anyway.
Right. So he will bring this, they will bring this back to us for us to look at and also approve with them to approve, okay? Any comment on that part of it? Okay, on the same page to comment number 3, but not more than 30, and I've got a question, why 30?
Allow room for growth in the future. You know, and we're wanting to make this last, but things is gonna grow, and we're trying to make something where we've got room in the future.
You've got 20 now, do we have all 20 slots filled?
Yes.
Certified? Or original certification?
Yes, most all of them.
And looking at your room report, you'll have 5 that show up at any given time.
Yes.
It's hard for me to see how we need 30 when we can't get a half a dozen to come.
Well, how many volunteer organizations you've been a part of?
Sir?
Seriously, when you look at any volunteer organization, if you get 25%, you're doing real good. And that, you know, it's not just the fire service, it's anything you do. So you, as things grow and you require to have more, then you got to have more buffer there.
I'm concerned, and I may not understand all of it, but I'm concerned if we add 10 more, that's workers' compensation.
If I'm not totally mistaken, we pay for 20 on the scene, correct?
Correct.
So if we have 30 on the roster, it's up to whomever's in charge, that when we get 20 there, we sort out and say we don't need this many on this scene.
I was saying I'd like to see 20 on the scene, but that would be some kind of fire.
I've only seen 19 on one
Yeah,
scene, and that was an airplane crash.
We don't want to see 20, we don't want to have the kind of fire that we call. Okay. Okay. Any comment, you don't have a comment tonight, we can think about this, and when we bring our comments back next month and advertise, we can do it then. But that's the reason I'm asking for a further replacement for.
I see that, I understand it, I do a lot of volunteer stuff, where the volunteer number is 1, me, there's other people that volunteer, but handful growth. World stands, continue to go, also hopefully will grow. And to have that available, I agree with you. He mentioned about insurance cover 20. That's got to break down, savings right, people take offense. Let's go right on, a few there are the deputy chief to say, okay, listen, we got 20, you other five's got to go for now because our entry, and everybody's got to understand that in your department.
Yes.
And then, that's the only concern I have, they understand it, nobody gets their feelings hurt if, God forbid, we have 22 people show up at a fire.
Right.
Like the Mayor said, that's a big fire, I don't want to see that ever.
That's a command responsibility anyway.
Yes.
Command says, so that-
But to have that people, extra 10 people that could come, if you needed, say 10 and only 3 out of the 20 could show up, 5 more, I'm sure it'd help, out of the 10.
Have you ever considered those that don't show up in a year or something like that, actually removed from the department?
If they're not involved with us doing things, you know, even though they may not be making many calls, but they're there for other things. But when they get to the point that they're not active, then we have a talk.
Okay. Okay. And when I can talk about that, it's pretty, it's not an action line, but I would not say, I've seen too many, maybe not most, but I've seen too many where folks are going to get capped too. And that's kind of, we've seen that.
The thing is, we don't got many luxuries right now, so that.
I believe it's not viable capital too, I understand.
Get a styrofoam cup.
Anybody have a question on the 30? Okay, on the section 107, the comment is, as amended by the state, are we still being able to exempt anyone who has the old standards? That one way to be done.
Well, everybody is going through, and the state is reviewing a bunch of people all over the state. And even if they have the old standards, they can pick up these classes and get their stuff up to par. And there's a lot of people going through that all over the state right now.
Okay. Okay, so the old can count as kind of clip of a class. But they
Now, when we say old, there's several olds. The old 40 is gone, right? The original 40 hour, that's gone.
I think that's the question I would ask. That's gone.
That's gone.
Okay.
Okay, then you come up with the 120 and the 160, and there was different methods of doing those, and a lot of those that took that, excuse me, are now having to be reviewed and pick up extra stuff to compensate for now.
Okay. The Florida Basic Volunteer Firefighter Certificate. Is that the old 40?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because that's what's concerning me, because it says if they have that, they can be exempt, and that's not right. If that is the old 40, now if that's the old 120 or the old something else, it may be.
And I honestly don't, I'm not sure about their wording on it now.
But you'll know for next month.
We'll get on that.
So for the council, and please, before I get away from being involved, changes take place that I don't know, that there was an old 40-hour class that Mr. Hedges and everyone taught, and you can get that, in the early 2000s that changed. Now you have to have 120 and 160 hours, and you have to have the same kind of training like a paid department does in a municipality and things like that. And the old 40 does not any longer take the place of that. It can be incorporated into it. So if we use 40%, that's what I'm trying to determine, is if that's the old 41, 21, 41, 60.
As far as anybody in our bunch, well, there ain't but 2 of us that actually ever had that to start with.
Yeah.
You know, everybody else is past that anyway.
Yeah. So anybody that comes on that has to have what it is.
They got to have the full 2
can we take that, can we take that, can we take that wording, we can propose back, but can we take that wording about it being exempt out and saying that, it says we have to have a firefighter one of the EMS, and again, we say whatever the state standards are, we word that some of the ways so that we just, because you're right, nobody else is going to get one.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a good way of doing it, because when you get into that, there's part of it that says train commensurate to duties too, you know, because you got that floating world they got.
Well, understanding that over the last 2 or 3 years, and of course, you always have different questions when you come here, including yourself, including Dave and some others, there's been questions as to what to have. And we've been told, he's got a certification, he's got what he needs, and all like that, only to find out that we didn't. And you weren't telling us, you weren't lying to us, you weren't telling us that you had something that you didn't have, you were telling us that you had something you thought you did have. You're one of the two that's got gold for it and all like that, and you thought for years that one.
Well, I had the 40, and then I had the 120,
Yeah.
and then I had the 160,
Yeah.
and then I went back again and got the other, you know.
Right. But we thought to begin with, that because you had the 40, that you were exempt way back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I wasn't part of that, I thought that you weren't good.
And if you talk to one person at the college back then, they'd tell you this, and you call somebody else, they'd tell you something different. That ain't changed, by the way.
That's the reason I'm saying, when you take that word exempt out and say that firefighters will meet whatever the state standards are at the time, or something like that, would that be 1%, Mr. Goodman, you put it in good language, would that be acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got a question on the, as amended by the state? The next couple of things on that page are just, housekeeping. The next one is, no applicant shall be added to the active firefighting roster if that applicant has been dismissed from 2 or more fire departments. Do we need to, add somewhere about calls? About calls? They may have been dismissed, but why would they be dismissed? If they were dismissed because they were a drug or something like that, if they were dismissed because they run afoul of another fireman or something like that, or they dismissed because they drove across town and put wood in the meeting, something like that, they don't necessarily not make them be a good fire person or would make them work out here. But I'm with Campbell Fire Department, I moved to Sunny Hills and don't keep wherever they dismiss it. I'm just saying, get rid of Sunny Hills and I moved to Hebrew, and put one up here, they dismiss it.
They're not going to dismiss it.
But most of us, most departments,
I just asked him about dismissing folks, I don't know.
but most of us is gonna contact people and say, hey, what's going on? And if you say, you know, hey, I've moved, that's when you say, look again. You need to turn in your stuff and we'll go our merry way. You're not dismissed at that point, you dismissed yourself. And what that's talking about is people that has been removed from the roster.
For some kind of,
For call.
For call.
And that's what I'm saying, that you did dismiss for call.
Yes.
Can we add that?
There's the attorney sitting right there.
Okay. Then we propose the call. All right? Anybody else got any question about that?
I just don't think anybody that's been put out to be allowed to go to another fire department.
I agree.
In the council.
that's what you say.
Okay.
That's why.
So they were just putting in the word.
It's a 10 piece of meat, is what I'm saying. That dismissing, the man who got dismissed, he's got to slide too.
Yeah.
He's got to store it, he or she has to store it.
But if there's a call,
We'll be fair to everybody. So we put in there for calls, and those two calls, and this two places, here's the call. It can be anything from fighting, detention, to failing to order. If it's for call, here for call, they'll do the same thing that our.
We don't need to drop.
Thank you.
Okay? Okay, next is, I've got a question mark, and at the bottom is, fire chief has the flexibility to judge what order of drug background, just, minor flexibility, what would be, as long as you're not doing it some set overall. We got to come to 3 meetings, we got to put an application. It seems like that the, what's the thing would be physical, drug test, background. Or background, maybe background first.
Sometimes it would be better to have that up front,
That can happen up front.
either or both.
Have the background first. This says that you're asking for the flexibility to do, for me, you said we need to get a drug test first, for him, you do a background check first, for her, you do a physical first. Physicals and drug test cost.
Yes, they do.
Background check can cost.
Yes.
But, so why would we not do background first and everybody, so we don't need to send him to get a drug test on physical.
And I don't have a qualm with that.
Okay.
But if, there needs to be some flexibility in that. Bottom line, if somebody comes in and you can look at them and tell that they can't pass a physical, and they're not being totally forthcoming with you, then you may want to just go ahead and do this and prove it and go on your merry way. That $100 is a good investment at that point.
Okay, just to have, that it gets turned in, have any reports.
Not that I know of.
Do you feel like you should know what taking place in the beginning?
So, okay, you're not turning it down, you're sending it to get the physical.
Yes.
Physical is,
The physical's gonna do it for me.
yeah.
You don't have ill feelings.
Oh, it's not, oh,
If it's that big a deal, we can leave it in there like it is, I don't care. I was just thinking,
I see what you're saying, I think, but I also see what Mayor's saying. The background check, of course, is just going to be cheaper for free. You can call it there, practically somebody running real quick, not paying it be that. Okay, that eliminates if they've got a felony, they've got, for other reasons, we won't past history or whatever those guidelines are. But at the same time, I see what you're saying, physical, I mean, all standards, just look at me from the outside, you probably say, well, he can pass the physical. Well, no, I can't. If you do anything about me, well, you know I could pass the physical to be a firefighter. So why waste the time seeing?
And bottom line, if I hit you when you first come up with a drug test, you may have time to study.
yeah, you can do a drug test that way, physical's gonna be the same thing about everything.
But that's just the truth of it. If they don't know when we're gonna hit them with that drug test,
They have to stay clean also.
And you.
because I can't look at nobody in this room and tell if they're on drugs or not.
And you do randomly, even after they're on the card.
Not really, but we can.
We can.
We do if they have an accident, the
Yeah.
city. Vote
Yeah.
on it. If they do offender being raised.
And they know what we do.
Okay. Okay, so think about that, I think that she needs as much flexibility as you can in running this department, but if you got just the average person coming in, it seems like having a standard kind of a thing would be good out. Anybody have a question on that? And, on the last page, I think it's just mostly, housekeeping again, the size of the font, things like that. Okay, on the, it looks like, have you got your copy? Does anybody like a copy of our third ordinance? On section 117, which is the last section. We currently have an A and B. A says the ordinance takes place of effective on passage, and B says introduced and adopted. And you have proposed a section C that says, I think it's out of place. It says be permitted to enter except on order officer in command, police officers may aid and carry that. And that is provision for this section. Does that belong someplace else?
I can't remember.
I think it's out of place, so if we find a place, we'll have. That last section just says the date it's effective and what date it was introduced for adoption. That looks like that goes maybe into some kind of, keep people out of the fire scene section or something else. I'm not sure right now where it might be, but it says police officers may aid in carrying out the effective provisions of this section. And it's just on the last page, right above the action of council. And I think that's, do you see it, Vernon? Does it look like it's in the wrong place? That last line. Okay. Have you got it correct? I'm thinking that's part of the ordinance that's got to do with security.
Yeah, I think that needs to be inserted somewhere else.
Okay, okay. We were good when we find a place and do that. That's acceptable with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions concerning the fire ordinance that the fire department, the requested changes and edits that they requested those? Okay. We won't vote on these tonight. We'll bring back yours next month. We will hammer out what goes together and give it to Mr. Goodman for us to advertise. Is that acceptable to the council? Okay, right. Ms. Burnett, as a liaison, if there's anything when we get here next month that you need to relax on, please leave that discussion as much as you need to, okay? All right. I think that almost, unless we table something tonight, I think that almost clears our table item agenda.
I did see there, that he had brought it up, I think it was last meeting, about the overages on the water meter. What was ever resolved, or did I miss something on that?
Mr. Steve,
Mr. Parks and
Mr. Parks paid his bill. It was a leak, so therefore we paid. So did the other people, everybody's paid their bill as billed out.
What about Mr. Stevens?
His was, we can't justify that, there was no, nothing we adjusted his stuff, but he got paid at least half of it.
Okay. No, that was kind of
Yeah.
weird.
That was where we can't justify that,
So
so what
that's no
happened.
fault with the meter.
Can't figure out why.
Wow.
Okay?
Okay.
And our other, everybody.
Everybody's concurrent.
Okay? All right. Turn the page. Madam Clerk.
Okay, we have the final reading of ordinance 17-001, which is Mr. Goodman, if you look on your back page, yours is already signed off and ready to use as a form. This is basically what the state requires us to adopt. We have very little choice in this. And it's an ordinance by the town council in the town of Wausau Code of Ordinance to repeal ordinance number 11-001. to adopt a new floodplain management ordinance, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, to adopt procedures and criteria for development of flood hazard areas, and for further purposes provided for applicability, repeal work severability, and an effective date. Once we adopt this, it has to be sent to the state.
And this has to do with construction of flood zones and developments and things like that. I don't remember the last time that we did.
2011, they and I think the county is currently going through that.
Holmes County just passed theirs, and I think
Washington
Washington
County
just
thinks
passed
it's
theirs.
So we just need a, doing this 17 years here.
About all this and following it, you have sometimes we have flood, insurance.
Your insurance, yes.
Insurance is main.
Well,
Okay, what's the pleasure of council? Order 17, code of order.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Carter, second by Mrs. Carter. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Richards? Okay?
Okay. I met with Mr. Hall, as y'all requested last month. I have not got his quote back, so this item will need to be tabled until we can get it back to him.
He was supposed to be here tonight.
Yes.
I'm sure glad to hear you didn't have that, because it said they were quoted here, and I had to look.
No, I was supposed to have it tonight, but I didn't have it yet.
Okay.
I won't give out any information, because Kent tonight explained some of this stuff to me, but he did show that, in the long run, we'd be saving, I mean, it's $200 over the whole year, or $200, whatever, from paying what, I shouldn't have said that, because.
Well, basically, he said the system we got is inadequate and not functioning.
But he could have it
But
where
he
we
could,
could all, in our phones, we can pull it up and see what's going on security-wise at the Fossil Palace in the entire ball field, and even watch Navy if we didn't want to go to the ball field, say we was out of town. That's on security and range.
Do we not have some kind of abilities or anything like that? Is there any kind of legal action that?
And you should do all the equipment to here, so that it can be there inside the building before somebody can mess with it.
They just want to be careful.
Or will you turn the master switch off and you ain't got current anyway?
yeah, that's what y'all do a lot.
I said, I was heading as well, the cameras basically, layman term, while I stood from you, we still have cameras and surveillance, but we could have all the resources and stuff brought in here, and we have to have it there on site, so we can see, we can be here in the offices, and not worry about somebody renting the building and messing with it, or actually turning it off, or whatever, and we could give us all the code, we need to see it. Monitor it ourselves, if we was up at night and have nothing to do, you want to watch the
I guess
looking around at the ball field at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I just caution any of us that is talking to anyone that we not allow them to give us call systems. If this is something we have to be in, they're going to give us a call system, they will expose their hand, and there may be others out there that say what you're doing the same kind of service, and we have to do that. We don't want to know, what his costs are. Okay? Anything else on our security system? And before we do this, I want a presentation of some kind. We took the word of user last time, and it was based on, I believe, absolute. I don't think there was anything specific about that, but I want a presentation from whoever's going to do the work on this. I don't see something besides this, somebody said, this is a good thing, you want to get. Okay. Madam Clerk.
Driveways in city limits. I have been back and forth with Washington County to no avail. And also at my meeting next week with Mr. Hamilton, this will be brought up again. Still, I told Ms. Bond I'm still working on her over. Talked with the city of Vernon, where Washington County is telling us they will not come in the city limits of Wausau and do anything. City of Vernon says they come into Vernon and do everything for them on their driveways. Yes, they have to pull the permit through, through Public Works, but then, and they have to also pay a fee to Public Works for the pipe, but then they come install it in Vernon. Public Works is telling me that they will not come into the city limits and install anything. But where that got changed, I've also talked with Roger. That's been our policy here for the last 20-something years. Roger was administrator, and they've always done it in the municipality, just like they do out in the county. That's what, and I'm still trying to meet with Mr. Terrell and the Public Works and Mr. Hamilton. That's on our discussion list for next week also.
They come and do it in Vernon, or they won't do it here?
Well, I haven't talked to them about Vernon, I talked to Michelle in Vernon.
Okay, because they didn't come and do mine in Vernon. I had to ask them, I was doing it myself, they inspected it fast, and we went on back to there.
But the greater roads that were here, that are planet roads, and this is.
If a culvert is put in, it has to meet county standards.
Has to meet county standards. We've already agreed to, we would already agree to bring our policies in line with theirs. So we just, a face-to-face with them.
We get no money off of building permits, we get no money off of private permits.
Okay.
So that will be tabled until I get an answer from Mr. Hamilton.
Okay.
Yeah, the fire department and the chief asked that we hold off on demolitions so they can use it for blackout training and other training, and they will report back to us when they get through with their training.
How much do y'all want left of that? How much do you want left? What can I not do? I know I can't burn it. I know that, but.
Tear down the whole place.
In my opinion, if you leave it secure, and you're going to be training on the inside, you know what anything on the inside, we're not going to use it. It's very easy to get for it, so I'm using it. In my opinion, if they leave it secure, so somebody else, especially children, can't get in, you can do anything on the inside if you want to. Then when you're finished, if you want to do something on the outside, just don't leave anything that's going to be
So if we cut a hole inside the wall, we need to cover it up, board it up.
You mean the exterior wall?
Yes.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. That's what I needed to know.
Yeah, as long as it's like less secure.
Okay.
Anybody else got an opinion? Sometimes when the chair speaks, it's taken that I'm speaking to the entire council, and I can't do that without your permission, so if there's anything that you need to say, okay? Possum Palace?
Work at the Possum House completed, the Washington County did come in and do our ditch, and it held up really good during the last storm, the last big rain we had. The only major problem we had that day was Jackson Street here, and
Yeah. So, they're doing work inside the city.
this is one way
Besides that, they all in time to
Before our tape, have the quarters on.
and get our eyes.
get our eyes.
Thank you.
Y'all got good eyes.
Yeah.
And Public Works is gonna have a good month of water here to make good eyes, because our booster pump update is, we've turned the power on, we've done the inspections, we've got our samples back, everything. We should be, as soon as the commissioners vote to hook to the system, we can give them good water at Public Works. Our pump is up and running, already today.
More better eyes.
Okay.
More better eyes.
Okay, anybody have anything for the clerk?
I got one more thing I'll just add. Chief Rowe?
I wonder how I can guess that.
Well, Chief Rowe, you brought this to Ms. Palmer tonight. As y'all remember, he requested back at his first quarterly meeting with us, that we were going to have to come off some money this year because the engine needed tires, and he has a quote, and this is on state bid of $2,629.76 for the tires and the labor of $395, making a total of the tax, federal tire tax, $3,082.76.
Well, you may have.
Yeah, right.
Well, I have, said it, got to look at it.
You're welcome.
I got one, another one. But that's the amount.
And that's in the budget, it's just within our,
It's, this is budgeted because, as y'all know, the fire department has done extremely well the last 2 years to have their full $15,000 worth of truck payments each year in their volunteer fire fund, or in the fire department, they've saved up, but this will be an extra expenditure. It may be covered before the year end, but Sam just wanted to make y'all aware that if they don't have the full amount of their $12,000 payment, that we may have to assist them with that.
somewhere in here, in the fire department's reports, I saw a copy of their budgets.
Yeah, the budget is in there in the quarterly reports, it should be right after the minutes. And repairs and maintenance, they have $2,500 budgeted there, but there's some of it that they haven't expended yet. We can move some line items around and probably get this within budget overall.
I don't think if we move,
Yeah.
move the line item, he puts on notice if we don't, but anything that we can keep within anybody's budget, that's good for us, that's good for all of it. But he's making us aware that if there's a major breakdown, this is $2,300, or this is $2,600, you don't have a 25 to start with, so, you know, if we go from now to the end of September, that's going to end that, we still have at least $100, if we do it internally, that's good.
But we just need a motion for him to go. It's not an emergency expenditure, so.
Is it, when do you get the time? It's that kind of a thing you need to get next week, and then you need to run.
There's a chunk that big missing out of one of our tires.
Okay. All right, and what you will do now is you do this and make it internal, and then only if there's something else to do, we do something.
Right. It'll come back to y'all before December, when we have to make a big truck run to move it from one fund to another.
Do we all understand the internal transfer of funds?
Yeah, I see where
Line item,
you transfer some of the fingers come back, yes.
we're not changing the budget today, what's the pleasure of the council? This morning, I think this is a fire issue, we have a motion. We have a motion by Mrs. Palmer to allow the replacement of tires on our engine. Is there a second?
I'll say.
We have a motion by Mrs. Palmer, second by Mr. Carter. Is there any discussion of the motion? How you doing, Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Yes. Mr. Moore? The chair votes yes. You didn't have one thing tonight? Okay. All right. If you read the ordinances on the inside, just come up with probably too much over the legislative department, where the legislature first began to be. There's a House Bill 17, the Senate Bill number 58, restricts the cities on things that we can do concerning business inside the city limits. For the city approaches, I have written a letter I did back then, we voted on here one night, and all they've asked us to do now is to support them with a resolution. I think it's a good thing for us to do that, but what's the pressure of council? That's a motion. We have a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a second? I'll second. Motion by Mrs. Palmer, second by Mr. Cook. Any discussion of the motion? for us tonight? You don't have anything? Ms. Palmer's not been waiting for a while. She needs a better meeting here, so. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Cole? We have two items.
Wausau.
Okay?
Running that fence mower, looking wood, getting tree roots back on there. We need to get a Wausau. We've got the rubber area, keep that mower, all the way, side of the road, that way.
Where are we with finishing over wooded areas?
And all up down there on that, property, and what we want to do. Between that right way up there.
Okay.
The two that working up there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got dark areas, we got light areas.
Okay. I know about that.
He got stuck a couple weeks ago. I went up there to help him, tractor was pull it out. He was telling me, he said, I'm gonna get a tractor up here and cut this down. I said, you gotta finish it, you need a push off. You know, of course, I'm not telling you what I can, because I'm not gonna meet the calls, so of course, I said, we will aware of this, and so I kind of took it for granted, because I understood what I was saying, that if finish more, it's not a push off, tear it up real quick. If you've been up there doing that, we can even stop, because finish more will be cheap. I'm not too push off, or I'm not finish more.
Didn't know we were on the line.
Now, y'all discussed to get the bush hog, but decided then to get the finish more, and then at a later date, we can maybe get a bush hog, because they were, fairly cheap, we could get a 5-foot bush hog for less than $1,000. Yeah.
Finish it, something.
I know.
Yeah, we can get a bush hog for fairly cheap.
$6,800.
Yeah, we just,
Okay.
I'm making a motion to get it, I don't want to see that finish.
No.
That's, I'm about to tell him, I can't push off, so I think.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Carter to buy bush hog. Is there a second?
I second it.
There a motion, and a second, discussion of the motion. How you vote, Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay.
And the only other thing they've got on 29th, they came with rosters that up on that. Volunteers to come back and put on to 29th with all proceeds go to the company hall. Concession, no, everybody. No charge to the bank.
and he's just asking for us to wait for
I was gonna say they usually pay the cost of their for profit, but if this is a benefit for one of our coaches, they will wait for.
We've already started putting out flyers, yeah.
Chair would entertain a motion to waive the fee from the last person, they probably don't have a
SWC or something like that.
We have a motion to waive the fee of 29 for benefit which is from second the motion. Motion is second. Any discussion on the motion? Any vote, Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Chair votes yes. Mr. Carter?
That you and I talked on the other day, I'd like to discuss that. It's not
This good.
to be anyone in trouble, it was yesterday. Okay. I was coming home from Vernon and got up here by Pentecostal church and the little white building, Mr. Spear, rents used to be a place going on. Young lady, this was her face, my big daughter, I know it's white, and that's not the point of making. Jimbo, got to put in what she took her down the road, down to his house, trying to drop her off, and, all right, tell how to address it. And get back and just go talk to him, hey, you're not in trouble, just make you aware to keep all the people around, even in that short distance, because I even look at a scenario, somebody's running that stop sign here, here, you know, they're worried in possible lawsuit. Well, called me, he told me he was out there, Fifth Circle, when I got there, he was on 77, picking up the garbage, and I got out in the truck, and I said, listen, why are you picking the garbage on 77? I said, stay with that, let's think about something else. I said, but come around here and talk to you about something, you know, this happened. And I said, I want you to know you're not in trouble, you're not in danger or anything. I said, I just want to remind you, can't be all the non-employees in the vehicle. Well, he copped the attitude with me. And looked at me and says, Bagel, that was, I don't know, community service, thank you, Ms. Mark. And then and walked away, just abrupt, just very insubordinate on an attitude. Well, I knew me, so I kept my mouth shut. Come on back, made Mr. Mayor aware of it. He said, check it out. Only thing I could find out was yes, we had somebody doing community service, but it was a man. I know I don't have the greatest eyesight in the world, but I can tell the difference between a woman and a man. And I was a woman. So, to me, still, just make you aware of it. I'll take one time having a bad day with an attitude. We all have been there and done that. But I want to make the board and the mayor all aware of what all happened and what has took place. And that call wherever it's called.
Anything else?
That's it.
Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Court.
Application verification department applications.
Yes.
I've already talked about three of them. I'll look for all three of them. Lisa Jackson. This is the one that I recommend for the job. She got there all through last year. She's helping there again this year. She knows all the ins and outs.
That's the one. Mr. Walton recommended that.
She has the time because she's there. Every time I go down there, she's there.
Is everybody Cindy?
I think it all,
Yeah, I'm gonna, I don't know who all applies. Her, Alicia or is it Lisa? Lisa. I trust James Allen, in one of the years he's had recreation involved, his love, his passion. He's all good, and don't even know that I was really sad to see him going, to be honest with you. And because it's a big passion for him. I don't think he'd recommend anybody that anything was capable of being there and it was running. Like I said, I'm not putting anybody else down who else apply.
Do we, now James is committed to be with us through the season, or do we replace somebody? Are you going to make a recommendation tonight or motion tonight, or do you want us to review these and come back and discuss them?
Can I make a recommendation without y'all reviewing? Or do y'all have to?
you say authorize you.
I think we authorize you. Yeah, I know that I got a call from Mr. one of the coaches. And they want to be very careful that we get a first approval on it. But his concern was that they would be able to do what needed to be done versus the coaches having to do it like has happened in the past. And that includes a lot of striping, they've got those fences on the inside. The coaches also work, and you can't really get off at 4:30 and be ready to play ball by 6 o'clock. If you go to 9 field, put up the fences and things like that. So,
I think she would be robust. Keep her back.
Does Keisha do all that as well? I mean, not the same coaches.
She's been doing.
Okay.
good sheet work.
So you got to lay it down to you versus set with.
You have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend Lisa Jackson for the recreation director.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
We have a motion from Mrs. Carter that we hire Alicia Jackson as our recreation department director, effective when she's got to do personal drug tests and things like that. And we're trying to do that. Right?
We'll still be in fall season.
Okay. Okay. We have a motion by Mrs. Carter to appoint Alicia Jackson as the recreation director effective the 1st of May and contingent on her passing the drug background and physical. Is there a second?
I see.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
And James Allen has agreed to stay there until she starts.
All right. Have a motion.
I can't vote on that.
Ms. Carter? No. Ms. Carter? Yes. Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure votes yes. Okay. The acceptance of James's, you hold that, we'll make sure we have the money in place. You have two things, you hold that, accept the resignation to be sure she's passed.
Go back to my firm.
That concludes the agenda. Mr. Goodman, we're always glad to see you with us. Is there things that you need to say to us tonight?
I just emailed my assistant, Margaret, and we'll get some dates in June and July and come and do that on Friday.
Okay. We didn't do anything tonight for late, to tell you anything like that.
If they did, it's on camera, so we're all done.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
Mark, you let me know.
Anybody in the audience? Good to have one of our former councilmen, Mr. Butler's tonight, come in and see what it looks like on that side of the table. Wow.
Enjoy.
Thank you all for coming. Anything else from the table?
Who notifies?